lost all control. Gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She caught me with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Sunday edition of the Paranormal Portal Bedtime Stories from Beyond. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and I'm happy you're here with me. It'd be kind of lonely to do this all by myself. So thanks for keeping me company, everybody, and for taking part of it. I just have been receiving more and more emails from listeners regarding their experiences and their stories, and how awesome, how amazing. I'm just thrilled to get them. It's just really exciting because those are my very favorite part of the whole show. I've had the opportunity to meet some amazing people, interview amazing people, make friends with a lot of people, well-known names in the paranormal field. But when you guys tell me what's going on, what you've seen, what you've experienced, that to me is just the highlight. So thank you guys for contributing, but I hope you're all ready because it's time for bed. All right, it's Sunday evening. Tomorrow's Monday. Is that right? Could that possibly be right? Yeah, it's Sunday. Wow. I mean, every day just starts to bleed together. And part of the problem is it's been so cold and snowy out here lately that I haven't wanted to go outside. I haven't wanted to do anything unless I absolutely had to. So I've been in this cocoon for several days now outside of running to the store when I absolutely had to and getting the wind knocked out of me from the cold. But I kind of lose track of which day I'm on. It's kind of weird, but anyway, thank you so much for being here. This is the Bedtime Stories from Beyond, our shorter version of the Paranormal Portal, and I'm going to get you some stories here. I've just been working on several things today. Not really as productive a day as I was hoping for, but what do you do? Oh, this sounds like a good one. I think I got some cool stories set up for you. But yeah, some great emails getting sent in, and last night, the caller was really great. We had a great discussion. I really liked that. I really liked, hearing his experience and having a chance to discuss it with him and ask questions. And that to me was really that moment was just like what I had envisioned when I was planning the Paranormal Portal. Just talking about people with their, talking to people about their encounters. And others of you have called in and participated that way as well. I love the emails too, don't get me wrong, but the calls are really cool because then I can ask questions and then we can share ideas and thoughts and maybe help each other see it a little more clearly. So very awesome. I really enjoyed last night's show, and of course the night before was wonderful too. So it's just I can't tell you guys what an amazing show you guys have made this. I know I say it all the time, but I hope that by repetition I'm not cheapening that sentiment, because honest to God, I am just blown away every day. Every day that I do this show, I'm just blown away, seeing what it's becoming and seeing that it means something to you guys as well. And, that to me is so humbling. It's like, wow, really? So thank you guys for doing that and being a part of it and making it incredible. because you guys are really to thank for that. So the first story tonight is, let's see, we got 14 of you in here already. All right, excellent. The first story tonight is coming out of West Virginia, and we're just going to do ghost stories tonight. So I hope that's okay with you guys, but I think we all can relate to ghost stories. That's the one thing about the different phenomena, right? So a lot of people believe in Bigfoot. A lot of people believe in UFOs. A lot of people believe in ghosts. And some people believe in all three. But I would have to say that as far as the most widely recognized and believed in phenomena, I think has to be ghosts, because pretty much everybody knows someone or has experienced something themselves. And we all have those moments where, like, did I just see that? And I really think that ghost encounters are much more common than we believe. It's, again, a matter of breaking through our filters and our distractions and stuff, because most often ghost encounters are really, really subtle, and it's just this little, like, didn't I just put my keys down here? Where did they go? And those could very well be a form of ghost encounter. Not necessarily. They could just be reality slips. They could just be being forgetful. They could be a number of things. But I think we all can relate to ghost stories. And I think most of us grew up with stories of ghosts and such like that. So it's probably the most relatable of all the phenomena. And, of course, as such, there's so much material out there on ghosts. And even when you look on the television shows, the most prolific subject matter in the paranormal for shows is ghosts. Second, I guess, would be UFOs or aliens, and third, of course, would be Bigfoot. But yeah, I think it's the most relatable phenomenon. So I don't mind spending a bunch of time on it. So let's get on to this story. So this comes out of West Virginia, and it says, my ex-husband, Jamie, and I used to live with his father, and we were always told that his house was haunted. And there'd always been numerous things that happened to a number of different people, but this is what happened to me. This is my story. Excuse me. Every morning, Jamie would get up to go to work, and our room was in the upstairs of the house, and every morning he would wake me up so I could go downstairs and get in bed with his sister. And I was too afraid to sleep upstairs by myself because of all the stories that I had heard. So before Jamie would leave for work, he would come into his sister's room and give me a kiss goodbye, and I would have to raise my hand up to show him which side of the bed I was on. Because he didn't want to be laying him on his sister, which is good. On this particular morning, everything went the way it always had, and Jamie woke me up, and I went downstairs and climbed into bed, and he came in before he left, and I raised my hand so he knew which side of the bed I was on, and he gave me a kiss and left. Later that morning, I woke up to see my sister-in-law standing at the foot of the bed folding clothes, and I noticed that her side of the bed was made. And I asked her why she didn't wait for me to get out of bed so we could make the whole bed at once, and she said that the bed was made from the night before because she didn't sleep there that night. She had slept with her dad because she was scared. And I thought she was just joking with me and playing some kind of trick. However, her dad confirmed that she slept in his room all that night. I told them that someone had to be in bed with me, and I know this because our feet even touched, and Jamie had me raise my hand to show which side I was on. When Jamie got home that night, I told him about what had happened, and we still, to this day, do not know who or what was in bed with me. But we do know someone or something was there. Wow, is that creepy? That is wild. So it was actually manifest to the point that she felt a body next to her and actually touched feet. Whoa, that's a freaky one. That's pretty freaky. I guess they need to snuggle too. I don't know. I heard they're cold though. You'd think the bed would be cold, right? Because, every time we talk about apparitions, it's always this ambient temperature drop, and when they do make contact, it's this ice cold sensation. So I don't know, maybe this is a warmer ghost somehow. I'm not sure how that works, but pretty curious. The next one is coming out of Colorado. It says, about 2 years ago, my friend and I always talked about ghost stories and things that happen near our neighborhood. And during school, though, my friend found a messy note written on a napkin in her room. And when she showed me, I didn't believe her, and she got mad and wouldn't stop saying that she didn't do it. So I finally believed her, and we couldn't read what they said because The handwriting was so messy, but we thought they had the word help on there somewhere. We started digging by the school tree just because it was hollow underground, and a couple weeks later I asked my other friends about it, and she told me that there was this old farm thing across the street and that there were ghosts there. Soon we gave up the dig, and after more thinking, we figured out that those ghosts ended up following us to places. We decided to be their friends because they weren't hurting us in any way, and hey, they had a ghost dog, and there are also 2 sisters and a brother, and I've seen the sisters, but not the brother yet. The sister is really quiet and shy, and the other is normal, and the brother, I don't know. But the dog is so energetic and happy like any other dog, and they've been my friends ever since then. And yes, I've come across some scary and mysterious ghosts, but this is one experience I'll never forget. I don't know what to say about that one. Possible. I don't know. That one kind of has me wondering or scratching my head. The next one's coming out of Ohio, ladies and gentlemen, and says, my name is Nancy and I live in Ohio, and one morning I woke up and kept my head on my pillow, and I got up and looked at the time, and it was 5:20 a.m. I have 2 dogs. My biggest dog laid on the bed with me, and my smallest dog was downstairs, and I keep my door slightly open, and I could see out from where I was laying, and my dog perked up and looked out in the hallway, and he just kept staring out into the hallway. At that time, I took my head off my pillow again and looked, and this time, my dog started wagging his tail. Then I see what he saw. It was so clear except for the face. The face was blurry. It had on a red shirt and blue pair of jeans, and it was tall, and I was really scared, and I put my head back down. And by the time it was 5:30, I finally got up, and my dog stopped wagging his tail and staring. It was gone. I was scared to go back to sleep, so I got up and went downstairs, and my dog followed closely behind, and I ate breakfast and watched some TV, and then all of a sudden, I heard this sound on the floor in the kitchen. It sounded exactly like footsteps. I have a hard floor in the kitchen, and you can hear if anybody is in there, and you can hear my dogs when they walk across it. And I got up to look in the kitchen, then they were gone. I started reading ghost stories to help me, and they helped a lot. Well, that's good. I guess it's just understanding that you're not alone. Other people are experiencing weirdness too. That's probably a comforting feeling. Again, I think when you experience the paranormal, and in a traditional sense, a lot of people feel isolated. They don't feel like, they might have a close friend or two that they might be able to share it with, and more so now than ever before, just due to the dialogue being more common. But I think that, a lot of times people feel isolated. They don't want people looking at them weird. And you think, people are so concerned about their reputation. They're absolutely wrapped up in their identity that something like this would, of course, call their identity into question. And you can kind of understand it, right? So if you were going to have a surgery and the doctor starts telling you about all the ghosts he's heard, now me, I'd be cool with it. But I imagine other people going, this is the guy that's going to be cutting me open. It might not be real comforting. But I think, again, that has improved a whole lot in our recent years. And thanks to a lot of people talking about it and a lot of people sharing ideas, and of course popular culture is also talking about it, which is cool. So the blurred face. All right, so this one's coming out of Minnesota, which is my old stomping grounds, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, it has to do with the Ouija board. Ooh. All right, a couple of years ago, I ran across an old Ouija board dated 1919. I remember how fascinated I was with an experience when I was about 10 with one, so I thought that this, quotes in quotes, board game would be fun to fool around with again. My son, when he was very young, told me about looking out his bedroom window and seeing 3 glowing figures coming from the field towards his window one night. And he also stated that they even entered his room and stood at the foot of his bed, and he covered his head with the blankets, thinking that they would go away, and when he uncovered his head, they were still there. Then they vanished. I attributed this to a bad dream at the time, but there is this old peaceful house on my property built in 1926, and the builder also signed and dated his name in the rafters of the attic. So cool, I thought, that he took so much pride in his work, like an artist, to do such a thing. Anyway, we were in this old house and working the Ouija board and working the Ouija thing, she says, and so on. And my son asked me to see if what he saw was real or not. And we got an answer and a whole lot more. The two people who were at the board knew nothing about this. In fact, they didn't even know the name of the road we live on or anything else much about this neck of the woods. And I asked if there were any ghosts who wanted to speak, not at all taking any of this real seriously, and yes, replied the board. Who are you? I asked. Anna Mills, was the reply. As our guest worked the Ouija board, why are you here? I asked, and the planchette again began to move quickly. I died here on the Munger Shaw Road. Our guest didn't even know what the name of this road was. How? I inquired. Truck, the board answered. How? I asked. Run over, Anna replied. When? 1936. At this point, I was having fun with this game, and I didn't take any of this real seriously. After all, this thing was just a game, so if all this is true, where's your body so that I can bring you some flowers? I jokingly asked, and her answers set chills down my spine. You are there, she answered. What do you mean? Scattered. And it's spelled Skattered. Misspelled by an 8-year-old. She said, my ashes are scattered where your trailer house is, she added. She gave us a lot of information that night. She is with 2 uncles who are elusive but protecting her, and she was visiting them here when her death occurred. Things have happened after that was as well than before, and when I first put the trailer house where it is now abandoned, for I am now living in the old house, my ex-wife and I heard the distinctive voice of a child crying. That I can say without a doubt. My ex also told me that she saw a small girl one night feeling out the door one late night blew her off. What? Fleeing out the door one late night. And then in parentheses it says blew her off. And so did I one night when I woke up to use the bathroom, through the corner of the eye. I attributed this to late night half asleep stuff. And when we did the Ouija board with 2 other people, again, the same conversation with this Anna Mills, and I cannot find any records of her existence anywhere. Then again, out here in the sticks, especially back in the 30s, records may not have been so critical. Heck, I know a guy that have 2 people buried in his front yard from back then, and that's in the days when they did things like that. And I did ask her who her uncles were, and she remained elusive on that info. Okay, I know this all sounds really weird, and I did not believe a thing about all of this until a year ago. I went for a walk, as I have quite often, and I walked across the field on a winter moonlit night. On my way back, I distinctly saw 2 people sneaking around the trailer. Thinking that someone was trying to break in, I approached one of them and I yelled out to them, "What do you want?" And I was ready to confront the intruders, and I swear that I was within 15 feet of this guy, wearing a plaid shirt and bib overalls, when he took an abrupt right turn and went right through the wall of the trailer house, right below my son's old bedroom. I could see each and every detail of his face and the texture of his clothes, and he looked just like a real person that would appear under a full-lit moon, and I stopped dead in my tracks. But somehow I wasn't frightened out of my wits, as one would suspect, Rather, a comforting feeling came over me. By the way, when I first called out to them, the other ran into the woods. All of this I really attributed to suggestive thinking I saw things that I imagined and so forth. Perhaps it was just a restless walk late at night and so forth, but about a month ago, I was visiting my sister and her family at their house, miles away. Her daughter also had an old message board that her father found years ago in an attic of an old school that he once worked at, and the planchette was missing, so for fun, I went to work in his wood shop and made a really nice wood one for them, and with her and her boyfriend at the board, I asked, "Anna, are you here?" "Hi, Rick," the board replied. This really freaked them out. And "Tell us the story that you told me the last time we spoke," I asked. Again, the same info that came up a year ago before came up again, and I didn't reveal any of this prior things that Anna had said to anyone there. But there it was again, in the same way that she described it before. She said that I did see her once, and that she and her uncles did visit my son, and I did not ask any of this. Once the planchette again began to move, she went on and on and on, and I asked her if she liked what I did with the old house. It still looks as it did in the 30s, except for the addition of electricity and plumbing, and she said that she feels at home. And I asked her if she ever enters the house, and she said, "No, bad memories." Again, misspelled by an 8-year-old. The memories are MEMMORYS. Lately at night, though, through the corner of an eye, my son as well as I have seen someone fleeting past the kitchen window. Even our dog sends an alert that sometimes that somebody is here when in fact there isn't anybody there. The last time I used the board, being a skeptic, I always have someone else use it, and she said that she wanted to meet me along the edge of the field at 1 o'clock in the morning. "Promise?" I asked. "I promise," she answered. I never bothered. I'm not sure if I believe in such things, but it is fun to think about. Perhaps it is true. And then there's an update to the story. It's from Anna is now haunting the people living in the trailer house. Even though I have never shared this story with them, Denise and her friends have seen her as well, and she is alone and longing for whatever she's looking for. They are not afraid, for they find her sweet and comforting, just like the child she was in life, and they actually adopted her, and she at times visits my old house, and we chat with her on the antique Ouija board. Well, those are good experiences, I guess. I mean, nothing horrible. No screams or scratches or exorcisms, so that's a success for a Ouija board. Excellent. I guess it can happen, right? That was a good story. It was long, but good. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, I thank you, lady, for continuing to put that out there. If you guys have any encounters of your own or any paranormal stories whatsoever, it doesn't have to be along any one theme. It can just be strange phenomena. I don't care. Send it to me via email to paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. That would be wonderful because I love it. Paranormal Portal, Papa and Son. Yeah. The little minions out and watching cartoons, so he didn't want to co-host tonight. My little angel. All right, let's get to the next one. This one's not too long, I guess. Okay. This one's coming out of Massachusetts. Sorry. It's something in my mouth. Early fall 2002, I was sleeping peacefully throughout the night, dreaming about obscure and pointless drama, when the sound of something that I can't really describe in words. Imagine a sound similar to an ambulance siren and a squirrel being crushed by a Mack truck combined. With the volume all the way up. I, being a very light sleeper and suffering from insomnia, woke up immediately. I said immediately. It's immediately, sorry. Standing, now full awake, I entered the hall to investigate the sound, which had quieted and become a series of erratic hissings. The noise was so obviously coming from my cat, Acorn. The puffy calico was stanced for a fight at the gate, which separates the staircase from the hallway. Following my little kitty's gaze, I observed what appeared to be a large dog peering his head over the gate. Knowing full well that we had at the time 4 dogs living in the house, I really assumed it was one of them. The animal's size had not even entered my mind. Acorn saw me and bolted into my bedroom, and I turned and looked at her as she was now hidden behind the dresser, still hissing. Turning back to the stairs, the dog was gone. My curiosity had now gotten up its courage, and I realized that it had been a rather large dog. Going upstairs to investigate, I discovered that all 3 of our dogs were asleep, undisturbed by the commotion. My younger sister had been sleeping on the sofa and was now awake also. "Was that your cat making that noise?" she asked, a little bewildered. "Yeah, there was a dog at the top of the stairs. Did Michelle's dog come out of her room at all?" And I figured it had to be him. He was the largest, and Acorn really hated him. "No, Michelle took him over with her to Angela's." There was the answer to that question. My sister looked at me and I back at her, and neither of us knowing exactly what to say. "Well, I'm going to go back to bed." I turned and went back upstairs, a little confused about what had just happened. And in the back of my mind, I knew that it had been a ghost dog or something else, just a supernatural. But seeing no obvious answers to be found that night, I just went back to bed. The next day, I was not surprised to find out that Acorn's antics had awoken more than just my sister and I, and my mother was quite displeased at the notion of a magical ghost dog throwing my cat into fits of feline hysteria. From that point on, Acorn was ordered to stay in my room at nights, and after all she'd been through, I think she was obliged to accommodate. The big ghost dogs, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what they are. Clearly it's spiritual, though. It's not just some sort of cryptid. It's a spiritual apparition of a dog, but I guess, cats are really keyed into that kind of stuff. Many people believe that they are guardians of the spirit of the guardians from the spirit world, or I don't know how to phrase that correctly, but you know what I'm saying. They are very mystical creatures. All right, the next one is coming from New Jersey. Now, I consider myself a pretty sane person. What I'm about to tell you is the God's honest truth that just happened to me around 1:44 a.m., and that is going to keep me up for the rest of the night. I was lying in bed, just looking straight across the room, when all of a sudden I heard the wind pick up. I swear to God, I felt a strong breeze, and I got freezing cold, and then everything went black. I became absolutely petrified. I got the feeling that I can't explain, a presence. I felt as though someone was sitting on top of me, resting on my stomach, and I was able to think clearly and knew what was going on, and I didn't panic because I felt that this thing didn't want to hurt me. It seemed gentle, but made me really uncomfortable, and I asked it to leave, and it did. And that's when I realized why I couldn't see, because it was right in my face. And as it left, I could see a completely black shadow just vanish into thin air above me. As soon as I was able to move, I jumped out of bed and turned on the light, and I prayed. I checked the thermostat and tried to make sense of the situation, but I couldn't. The thermostat read 80 degrees Fahrenheit. The more I think about it, the more it freaks me out. All I know is that it happened, and it was not a dream. I've had nightmares, but they never made me feel uneasy to go back asleep, and I wish it were a dream. That is crazy. Now, those are the kind of things that really make you wonder. So, a normal haunting, it can be active. Normal spirit hauntings they are presences, they are disturbances, but there's some things out there that are so powerful. They are so strong, and they can bend the world around them. I don't know how else to explain it, but whether they are elementals, whether they are some higher order of spiritual presence, if it's an angelic thing, if it's a demonic thing, if it's a jinn, it's got to be something more than just a ghost. And I don't mean just a ghost in a dismissive way. I mean, certainly a general haunting is certainly unsettling enough in a lot of cases. But when something so powerful comes through and, it just makes your soul shiver, then, you're bumping up against something more like some form of principality or something. That is just really, that's a scary situation. And I don't know if there's any updates to this. Let me see. Oh, there's a conclusion story. So let's see. Oh, there's 3 stories submitted. I'm actually going to pull up the other 2 and read those. So it says, if you haven't read my other experience, which was in the last week of June, I had another. After not being able to sleep since that night because of feelings of being watched and strange feelings of emotions and of sadness, I went and bought a crucifix and a cross to wear while I slept. Things were going well since then until last night. Excuse me. I was having a dream about work, and I usually dream about work, and I was talking to my assistant in the dream when all of a sudden she looked behind and began to scream in horror. I woke up from that, but this is the insane part. I woke up above my bed, falling down into it. I was in a ball when it happened. My arms were wrapped around my knees, like I was doing a cannonball but going sideways. I sleep like that sometimes when I'm cold, and when I hit the bed, it was loud. But instead of springing upwards, I stayed embedded into the bed. I was being held, very strong, unable to move. Wind was rushing into my face and ears, and no windows were open. I was absolutely terrified out of my mind, and I prayed to God, and it stopped right after that. It only lasted about 15 seconds total, but now I just moved into this house almost a year ago. And is it haunted, do you think? Or am I dealing with something else? I think you're dealing with something else. But let's see what the 3rd installment of this is. Because now it's like a mini-series. Okay, it says, if anyone is interested, I'm doing a lot better now. I haven't had any other terrifying occurrences at all, and actually moved my room downstairs, which was great advice that I received from someone, and I would like to move, but I'm stuck here until something affordable pops up. And the only weird thing that happens now is this. No more night attacks, but voices and noises. I have yet to hear the voices, but my girlfriend has, and I told her nothing of the night attacks because I didn't want her to freak out about staying over. You selfish bastard. I don't want to be alone. But on the nights that she does, she's complained about hearing a voice talking to someone like they're on the phone, coming from the old bedroom, which is almost directly above the new one. She woke me up to check it out a couple of times, but I never fully check it because I don't want to go into that room anymore. She's not the only one, though. I've had friends stay over, usually on clubbing nights, and they were the first to complain. And one morning, I even had someone get up and say, "Who the hell is talking on the phone all night?" I've woken up to footsteps upstairs. My dog now wakes up every once in a while because he hears them too, and I feel if I leave the room locked and keep out of it, I'll be fine. I've gotten a couple people who were interested in staying in the room for a night to see if they could record any ghosts, but I refused. I don't want to make it worse, and I don't want anyone to get hurt. Things are fine the way they are. So that's the last installment of this series. Now, I would have to agree, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes, a lot of times, having a paranormal investigation done will really ramp up the activity. It will really ramp it up, at least for a period of time after the investigation. And that's why I think it's really, really important, if you ever need to call an investigative team, make sure they have a psychic with them that specializes in crossing spirits or, getting them out of your house. Because to stir it up is one thing, but, if they're really agitated and really pissed, the people that live there have to deal with this while the researchers get to go home. They get to go back to wherever they came from, but there are people living in these places. So I think it's really important, take it or leave it. It's, my opinion, my advice, but I think you really got to make sure that someone is on that team that can help push these spirits out or help them to cross if they're trapped, or be a mediator of sorts to try to work through whatever the hell's going on. It's just such a gamble. I know there's a lot of really eager investigators that'll come out and do investigations, and some of them are really wonderful and do it in a very gentle way, like Dan Pruitt, like Lisa Martin, like MCAT, I'm sure does as well. They handle their researches in very respectful, gentle ways. But there are other investigators out there that deal with provocation because they're really looking for that holy grail of film evidence or some strong evidence that they can bring back and put on YouTube and, make a name for themselves. Meanwhile, people have to live where that happened, and that's the problem. So make sure if you're going to have an investigative team come, make sure to check them out, get references, and if at all possible, hopefully they have a psychic with them that can help with mediating the experience, because you don't want people coming into your home and stirring things up and then ditching you because they're done. So, I do know that a lot of teams will stay in touch with people and be right there if they need anything more, if anything more happens, but, which is wonderful. And there's a lot of wonderful people doing it. I'm not disparaging researchers, but I'm just saying there's got to be a balance. There's got to be a balance to that approach. There are too many glory hogs, though, that are just looking for their 5 minutes, and they want to make a name for themselves. And I understand being ambitious, but being reckless is not good. So that's my 2 cents. All right, I'm going to need to pull up some more stories, huh? Let's see what else we can get into here. Oh, I'm not reading that one. It says erotic dreams. Nope, that one. I'll be skipping that one, ladies and gentlemen. All right. This one's pretty short. This is coming out of North Carolina. It says, my name is Rosa. And I already wrote a story about what had been happening in my house. And, well, lately my sister says that she hears someone opening and shutting the door in the bathroom. And I thought she was lying, but then I saw her face. She was so scared, and I never have seen her look like that. She usually plays pranks on me, so I don't listen to her. I think it's that lady that appeared 2 years ago. But yesterday around 10 p.m., my family was in the living room watching television. I went to my bedroom, and my little brother was with me, but then he left to the living room to watch some TV, and he said that he'll be back. And about 5 minutes later, I heard someone walking towards the bathroom. And I thought it was my brother, but it sounded odd because I heard someone walk and then go into the restroom, close the door, and then I heard nothing. I didn't hear anything. Then I started calling his name and he didn't respond. And about 2 minutes later, my brother went to the bedroom and asked him if he went to the bathroom, and he said no. I was like, okay, a little freaked out, but also, when I take a shower, I see shadows. Almost every night at around 2 a.m., I feel like someone is moving the bed real slow, but in a fast beat. I don't know how to explain it, but then I can't go back to sleep. And one time, I thought it was my little sister because she wanted to sleep with me, so I let her, and then I felt the bed moving, and I told her to stop moving the bed, and she said that she's not moving the bed, and that I'm freaking her out. I don't know if I'm going crazy. Is it just my imagination? It can be, but I don't know. All right, the next one is back to New Jersey. I don't know. What the hell is that saying? Some weird name. Okay. All right. I live in New York, and I've seen many other encounters with ghosts there. And if you haven't read my other stories, then you won't know what I've seen or heard. Okay. The story I'm about to tell happened in a very famous amusement park, Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey. I went there on June 27th for camp, and all my friends in my group wanted to go on Kingda Ka. Kingda Ka. That's the name I was wondering about. Kingda Ka. Kingda, and then Ka. The fastest roller coaster on Earth. I was going to try it, but by the time we got up there, I chickened out, and 5 out of the 7 kids in my group went. And my counselor didn't go either, and when two kids were online, there were 3 in the carts, all strapped up and ready to go. And I was standing behind the gate by the exit on the other side, wishing them good luck. One of my friends asked a kid in my group if they can sit next to them because there was another open seat. And they said sure. But when she sat down, she couldn't. Something or someone was blocking her, so she just said she'll go when they get off. And my friend wasn't even paying attention when this was happening, but I saw it happen. The chair pulled down the seat on its own and strapped itself in. My friend sitting next to the automated chair always screams really loud. She can't make herself stop. And it sort of ruins the fun of the ride, no offense. When the guy came around to check if everything was good, he made a weird-looking face at the chair that was already buckled. But he set the train off anyway, and there they go, 150 feet up into the air, pretty high, and it's so fast you don't really notice how high you were. I was at the bottom, and now I can hear my friend screaming at the top of her lungs, and when they made it back and got out, I asked, how was it? My friend said, awesome, but before we left, we had to remember to wait for the other 2 kids in my group. Now, when they got in, the chair that had been no one in it before was still there, locked. I watched it. I took out my phone to see if there was anyone there, because if it was a ghost, it would come up on the camera. I turned it to camera mode, and my jaw dropped to the sight. I couldn't even show my friends or take a picture. I was so shocked. There, sitting in the seat, was an almost about 16-year-old boy wearing a park uniform. And I looked at him, and he had his arms folded and looked really mad. I think he didn't enjoy his ride, and with my friend screaming at the top of her, at the tippy top on the roller coaster, and I saw him get up, open the gate, and walk right past me, up to the controls and press a button. The people working there said after a while that the computer wouldn't make the trains go because it thinks that 3 seats weren't locked, even though they were. The ghost ruined everything for my friend, but at least when we walked past the ride again, it was working and they went on it again. Now, you would think that I would never see that 16-year-old ghost again, right? Wrong. The second time we went to Kingda Ka, I saw him sitting on the roof of where the trains were. My counselor went to the bathroom, so no one saw me do this, and just like my name, I try to talk to ghosts. So I called the dude down, still holding my phone, of course. So he came down, and I told him to sit next to me and talk before my counselor got back from the bathroom. He said his name was Ricky, and he used to work here 2 years ago. One day, when they were finally going to test Kingda Ka for the first time, no one wanted to do it. But he was brave enough to raise his hand and to try it, and he sat in that same seat he was sitting in before when I first saw him, and the people got it ready, and he made the ready sign with his hand, and off he went. Everything was going as planned, except that when it got to the top, it didn't have enough speed in the train, so when it got to the top, it stopped. Then it rolled backwards really fast, like 365 miles per hour. I don't know if that's possible, but okay. With Ricky on it. And when it got back to the station, the workers found Ricky dead. They had a burial for him, but he said that he just wanted to make sure everything is okay now with the ride so the whole rolling backwards thing doesn't happen again. He also told me why he played around with the computer before. He said that he was so mad at the girl sitting next to him screaming, and I told him that was my friend and she always does that, and he said, it's okay now. So then he went back on King Ka and never saw him again. If you haven't been to this amusement park, you're missing out on a lot of stuff. Also, before you enter King Ka, there's a sign that says this. On occasion, King Ka's train will not go over the hill. This is a normal occurrence. If it doesn't, it will safely go back down the hill slowly and stop in its starting place and be ready to be launched again. Now they have that sign. Well, there you have it. King Ka, ladies and gentlemen. Fastest roller coaster at least in America, I guess. But this story's from 2007, so it might not be anymore. I could use an amusement park. I like amusement parks. They're kind of fun. I went to Disney World. I love the Haunted Mansion. That was a lot of fun. I could ride in that thing over and over and over. But I hope you guys have enjoyed the ride on the Paranormal Portal Express tonight. The Bedtime Stories From Beyond version. But I think that's going to wrap it up. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Let me see who's here. I want to give everybody shout-outs, whoever's here. Blacktree, Diana, Haxer, Lady Death, Lena, Lewis, MCAT, Nadine, Orochimaru, me, Renee, the Megaphone Man, Mr. Nase, the Rotman, Mr. Ken, and Aether Archives is sneaking a peek. So I love you all very much. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of the Paranormal Portal. Please subscribe. If you're watching this video, please subscribe. It just definitely makes my heart warm and happy. Spread the word to all the people you know that love the paranormal, because that also makes me happy. And, of course, my happiness is important to me. So I hope you all have a wonderful night. Have a great Monday. And I'll be waiting here for you Monday night for some more of the bedtime stories. But I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. And we'll see you tomorrow night here for some more of the Paranormal Portal. Good night, everybody. Sweet dreams.